So what's good? I'm Digital Crates. Everybody calls me Crates. I'm representing for HipHopSince1987.com. We're a blog that champions the independent artists, as well as the producers, the engineers, the fashion industry, the videographers. Man, we really try to shine a light on things that are on the come up. And you're definitely one of those, like, I call like a hyphenate, you know, producer, artist, musician,
Yeah.
a little bit of everything. And you're really on the come up. You got some videos out now that's incredible. A lot of new
Thank you.
music on the way. I'm super, super happy to be tapped in to what you got going on. I feel like I'm at something at the beginning here of the stages of something really great. But for the people that don't know you yet, maybe you could just kick it off and tell them your name, where you're from, and how you got started doing music.
So I go by Hush Forte. I'm from South Florida, Broward County. And I started doing music. My introduction to music was a piano. My dad really wanted me to learn how to play piano, and he would say that I would thank him later for it. So one thing kind of led to the next. I think learning the piano just kind of helped me develop my ear and actually know what I'm hearing and know how to translate it. And then I started making beats around middle school. I would just kind of be on GarageBand on my mom's laptop. And then, I had a friend that introduced me to FL Studio.
Yep.
Started making beats on there, started doing trap beats, like Rick Ross type beats and trying to sell them online. I was making a little bit of money like that in high school and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to kind of do my own thing more as opposed to just selling beats anonymously. So as I grew in my craft, I started working with local artists more, but then, I realized there was no one in South Florida that really made sense for the type of music I wanted to make. And, one thing led to the next. I started reaching outside of Florida to work with artists.
Yeah.
And then, with the pandemic and everything and just me being frustrated, waiting on other people to finish my ideas, I was just kind of let me just do everything myself. So, as of this past year, really just started experimenting with my voice more and working on working on my writing skills and just trying to make what I want to hear, just trying to make what I want to hear. And now we're here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people understand how much it goes into being a full-fledged producer, artist. It's so much. How do you even begin to balance between beat making and songwriting, performing? How do you find balance and all that?
There is none. I don't think I found it. It's hard for me to even separate the processes at this point. That's something I'm still learning. To me, recording my voice was just a natural evolution from what I was already doing. You know what I mean? So before it was get an idea in my head, lay down some drums, lay down some melodies, put a bass line on it, and give it to someone. Now, instead of me giving it to someone, I'm just continuing to add on to it with my voice.
That's great.
It's times where I'm out and about and I have an idea and it's I'm hearing a whole song. I'm hearing every part of the song. You know what I mean? I don't just have a drum idea or I'm hearing everything. And so, it's really just trying to get that idea get as close to the way I hear it or felt it, on my spirit. So there's no separation. I mean, I think when I collaborate with people, it forces me to kind of separate a little bit more and be detached from instead of doing everything myself. One of my friends, Native Son, who's actually on my project, he I'm on one of his records and he produced it. So that already forced me to be hands off and just focused on what I want to say on it or how I want to sound on it.
Yeah, so let's just back it up just a little bit. How did you actually come up with your artist name? Where did that come from?
I came up with that when I was 14. I think I had just started high school. That's around the time I started putting beats up on SoundCloud and YouTube to try to sell them. And, you know, I wanted to come up with an alias because, you know, I didn't really want anyone to know I made music. Like, to me, you know, in high school, I was a basketball player. So, like, music felt nerdy to me. Like, it felt like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it felt lame. It felt like a lame thing to do. All I know is I wanted something that sounded like the first name, last name, so that people can almost like confuse it to be my real name. I wanted something that kind of contradicted itself. I don't know where my mind was when I was 14. I don't know how. And I'm happy that it stuck with me, because I know a lot of people come up with shit when they're 14, and then 10 years later they're like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of stuck with me. I mean, Forte, you know, it means loud in like music theory, and Hush kind of speaks for itself, you know, quiet. And I think it also just spoke to like my, I guess, personality. Like I was very low key about like a lot of my talents, and I was very, you know, I only let people see like a certain side of me outside of like two of my closest friends. No one knew I made music. No one really knew like, and music, it was just like one thing. You know what I'm saying? Like no one knew that I knew how to like design. No one knew I was really good at drawing. So, you know, I liked to keep a lot of those things to myself, because it was just like my personal. It was things I just did personally for pleasure. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I hear a lot from artists that they transitioned in one way or another from doing sports to doing music. And it's interesting that you were doing it at the same time. Was there ever a moment where you were like, yo, maybe I got to chill and go harder in this direction? Was it anything like that, or was it more of just a natural progression?
I don't think there was like a defining moment, but I did feel my love for sports kind of fade out gradually. At a point, like, by the time I was in middle school, I was playing football and basketball, and I had like this one moment transitioning into high school where I was like starting to practice with my high school team, and the high school that I was geared to go to was like a really good football school, and so it was like really competitive even at practice, and I think there was one practice that I missed because I went to like a basketball workout instead of a football workout, and like the coach like punished me like the whole practice and had me like doing all types of crazy drills, and it just made me be like, damn, do I really want to do this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of, you know, football's so militant. You know, I'm starting to discover myself and realize, you know, how like the freedoms I want to have, and like me wanting to express myself. And I'm sure there's a lot of football players that are able to, but I feel like just the way football is structured, you don't really have it. You kind of fit in position. That's what led me to focusing on basketball in high school. And then it was kind of a similar thing in with basketball, which I still love and still play to this day. But you know, towards the end of my high school like career, you know, the whole thought of like, do I want to do this in college, and how serious do I want to take this? You know, playing under someone's system, and like, you know, there's politics involved, and like, you know, teamwork involved. And it's funny, I chose music where there's also a lot of politics involved.
Everything you just said. And you know, and I've found that artists that kind of come from the sports world, their mentality tends to make them have an edge above other people in the music business coming up. Have you brought some of that mentality with you into being in the music game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could even ask Brandon, you know what I'm saying? I think I get a lot of my intensity from just playing sports my whole life. And, you know, I was also a leader when it came to like the sport I played in and the teams that I was on. I always kind of like tried to assume the leadership role. That's just how I was raised. I think I definitely bring that intensity that I used to have on the court. But also like just like understanding teamwork and understanding like you know, trying to rally people and like and wanting to like work towards a shared goal as opposed to just my own like individual goal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because you're really a one-man band, but it seems like you're building a really solid team around you and inspiring folks to support what you're doing. So I guess, you know, again, to double back just a little bit for the people that aren't familiar with your music yet, how would you describe your music, but as well as your art, your visuals and all
Yeah,
the cover artwork of all your music has a certain aesthetic to it. So like
right.
for someone who's not familiar, how would you describe your art and music to them?
I've still been trying to find like land on like a specific way to discover it, because I feel like it's still so close to home that, you know, it's like looking in the mirror and trying to describe yourself. But I mean, that being said, you know, it's just vulnerable. It's like it's vulnerable and authentic to me and to my experience. I like can't get behind shit that I don't relate to. I can't talk about shit that I don't actually relate to. It just doesn't feel right to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm doing people a disservice. So I think if I was to try to draw like a through line through like my art, my videos, and my music, I don't really hide my imperfections. And I think I kind of go for that in every, you know, type of, I guess, art that I do. I like to have like a balance of confidence and this vulnerability at the same time. Because I just feel like that's human. And I feel like just like that yin and yang, I want to have that. I want to have a balance to everything. I want there to be something to offset. If you know, when I'm on my high horse, I want to also not be scared to kind of like talk about my flaws. Or if I'm if something is really happy, I want to also introduce like a little bit, an element of like sadness to it. Like, I just feel like I'm trying to get as close to like just the real life experience.
And that's evident in the music of yours that I've heard. It seems not only authentic and genuine, but like personal and from the heart. You know, a lot of artists come off the top. You know, a lot of artists freestyle, but you have an element to your music that's very polished, and it seems very well written, very well composed. Even a lot of the music I haven't heard, like your folks sent me lyrics and song titles, and I'm a songwriter too, so I'm looking at the lyrics and I'm already kind of hearing the melodic motifs and the rhythms and the words. How have you found that relationship between lyrics and music? Do you write songs just like like as poetry, lyrics, or do you always come with the music first and then try to write the lyrics to the music?
I think it's a case-to-case situation. Man, it's crazy. That's a really good question. I never really saw myself as a poet, you know what I'm saying? Although what I'm doing very much, like, it is poetry. I think I definitely start with the music. Even when it comes to words and lyrics, like, I'm hearing a cadence first before, and I'm just trying to find the right words to fit into that. So if I say, you know, view of the LA traffic outside my window, like, that has a like cadence to it. So now on the next thing, I'm just trying to find something that sonically like
fits that,
while still making it authentic to whatever it is I'm talking about. So, you know, that's the fun of it to me, because I feel like it's easy to do one or the other. It's easy to just like pour your heart out but not have any like rhythm to it, and then you know, it's easy to like have rhythm to it but not be saying shit.
I see rap as just that, rhythm applied poetry. And then when you add the music and the different sonic qualities of what you do to it, it's definitely something special. So outside of the production, engineering, and songwriting, just the music itself, what would you say separates your music from other artists coming out of Florida right now?
I know that just like the typical sound that you hear out of Florida, it's very much just rap. It's very like, it's kind of in one lane, in my opinion. Whereas I think you can hear my music and hear that I take influences from different genres. You could actually hear it in the music. Like, you could hear some rock influence, and you could hear some like, you know, soul, a lot of soul influence. While making this project, I wasn't even really listening to that much rap. I was listening to a lot of soul music from like the 70s. You know what I mean? A lot of chord changes and a lot of guitar. I think my drums is like a big part of my sound too. I'm definitely like, I almost try to make the drums like have a conversation. Like there's a lot of changing things in my drums, as opposed to just being like a repetitive loop. Yeah, I think that's it. You know, if I'm really to nerd out, that's what set me apart. And I think just back to the authenticity, man. Like I think I try to talk about things that would break the ice between me and someone in a room. You know, like it's easy to just sit down and talk about like whatever the weather, whatever is easy, like whatever's trending right now. But try to like dig a little deeper and like have the uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, it's important to challenge yourself as well as the listener. I'm looking over your Spotify. The last couple of years, you've really been putting the foot down on the gas pedal and going for it. And it seems like you've achieved a lot in a short amount of time. One question I was wondering is like, you just seem so talented in what you do. So I don't know if there would be any, but if you could think of what your biggest hurdle has been that you've had to jump over at any point to like get to where you're at right now with your career.
I can think of two. I can think of multiple. I think the biggest hurdle is just like not overthinking it, like just allowing my talent to just shine through. Coming from, I have like immigrant parents and shit, and like, it's a lot of I've always felt like a lot of pressure to like be successful. So I think sometimes with that, when I see things like when I see other dope artists that don't have like the shine that I feel like they deserve, I'm like, I start to overthink and like, okay, what do I have to do? Like, how can I think around this shit? And like, what do I got to do differently? And sometimes that can get in the way of me just like focusing on what I have and just what I can do. Even just like, getting the support of my parents in the first place, I think was a hurdle at one point. Because it's just so like, knowing that my family is a musician. So it's such like a different trail that I'm trying to like take on, you know what I'm saying? And now I'll say the biggest hurdle is just getting people to like, see what I'm doing and just, I feel like when people see it, the talent is obvious, but, just getting people's attention without, sacrificing my authenticity.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong way. It's kind of different for every artist. But it's funny, like I've seen comments on your YouTube where people were like, "Oh, I found him on TikTok," or I saw him on Instagram, and it's kind of like you have to be everywhere at once.
Literally, that's how it feels.
So maybe you could tell the people, like off top, before we get even deeper, like what social media are you most active on, and where should people go first to check for you?
I'll probably say Instagram. I think, I'm most active on Instagram. That's where you should check for me. I mean, if you're gonna share something, definitely share my music videos, because I feel like, we put a lot of work into that, and I feel like it shows a lot of layers to me, like off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Like straight out the gate, you kind of get to learn about me just by watching those, the two music videos, Far Away and Frustration, and they're both on the project too. So it'll kind of give a little bit of context before, the project comes out.
The visuals are cutting edge. There's no doubt about it. Very progressive. Everything, the music, the art, the visuals, but specifically the visuals. How does that go down? Are you part of the treatments? Do you have directors that reach out to you? Like, what's the process of creating a visual?
Yeah, I'm definitely super hands-on, almost like painfully hands-on. I do all the treatments myself, and then, I'll team up with like another director. So, with Frustration, I teamed up with someone I really met through Instagram. His name's Cameron DeMars. Frustration was actually like his first music video that he's ever shot. But we just kind of worked on it so much before we even shot it that we really like had all the details. I knew where I wanted to shoot it. I knew what story I wanted to tell. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just all like just creating an experience. I'm trying to like plot people into my world. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was really hoping to do with Frustration and with Far Away. Far Away was a different director. His name's Michael. Same situation though. I was basically trying to like reenact an experience that I already lived through.
So it's still early in the game for you, but you're kind of
Yeah.
moving like a veteran. What would you say, like how did you get this super professional image and mentality? And then what keeps you motivated to keep
Yeah.
showing, improving your talent?
As far as how, I think it's just studying, like studying my influences. To me, is like back to like what we were talking about before. Is just like from sports, it's the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron came into the game studying Michael Jordan, studying Kobe. You know, I feel like I treat it the same way. I'm personally not really like, I wouldn't say I'm competing with anyone, but I'm especially not competing with my peers. Yeah. I'm not trying to compete with my peers. I'm trying to compete with like the people that inspire me, and you know, my goal, I would love to just inspire people the way those people inspire me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, I'm kind of chasing those. I'm chasing my idols in a way.
And what keeps you motivated to like keep chasing after those goals?
I feel like I've always been motivated. I mean, I'm motivated by my family. You know, like the fact that I have their support and that they believe in me. You know, I kind of want to like, I want to realize everything that I saw for myself. You know what I'm saying? I want to make like the kid version of me proud and do some shit that would have made him been like, oh, fuck, damn, like, you really did that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that motivates me. I have really talented friends, and that motivates me too. You know what I'm saying? When you know, I hear some shit that my friends have been working on, and like, or whatever, and it really like floors me. I'm like, I gotta apply pressure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like community is really nothing but healthy competition. If you see it as thus, I'm the same way. If I see someone going hard, I don't ever hate or get jealous. I just try to go harder for myself, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of music that's out, but we're really kind of here today to talk about this new project that's coming up. Maybe you could talk about how you came up with the title of the project, and maybe give some insight onto a little bit of the production history of making it.
So the title is Look Closely. Came up with that probably like almost 2 years ago now. It's just a concept I had. I had a friend who like brought me this Viewmaster. It's like this nostalgic toy. Yeah. And when I saw it, I was like, oh fuck, like I remember that. Triggered a whole like bunch of thoughts just about like, you know, kind of, it all came from me asking myself questions. And I was asking myself like, why do I love this whole feeling of nostalgia so much? Like, you know, when I smell something that's familiar, you know, from my childhood, or, you know, shit like that, I was kind of asking myself, why am I so in love with that? I kind of landed on just this idea that the kid version of myself is still somewhere in me. And as I've gotten older, you have all these other things and other people's thoughts and like society shit that kind of like clutters that up, you know what I'm saying? But that kid is still inside of me. And anytime I experience nostalgia, like it reminds me of that person. And that kid is like a lot more curious and like bold and fearless than you know, most grown people are. You know what I mean? I didn't really need anyone's permission to just try some shit or just do some shit when I was a kid. You know, if I had an idea, I would act on it. And if I got in trouble for it, I got in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, this project is like me trying to just tap back into that kid so that I can take on this next phase of life. You know, especially with me doing something that's so new for me, which is like using my voice and using my words. And it's kind of this whole feeling of like, how are people gonna feel about this? Like, people never heard my voice. People never heard my perspective. What if people don't like what I have to say? Or what if people don't like how I sound? And I could talk about it forever, but that's kind of like.
On the project, what's like the one song that you're looking forward for people hearing the most to like test whether they're gonna, you know what I mean, mess with you or not?
Greatest Faults, for sure. I say Greatest Faults. I mean, to me, the whole project feels like a risk to me, like, because it's not like I have, except for the 2 singles that are on the project, I don't have any songs that are like as vulnerable or as much of just me on it. So the whole project is just something completely. It's like I'm coming out as an artist for the first time. That's how I feel. But I really think felt like Greatest Falls was a risk to me because it has like this dance tempo to it, which is like a lot different than anything I feel like people have heard from me. And then I'm also basically singing on the whole track. But I'm also talking about like my struggle with being vulnerable on the track. So I'm being vulnerable about struggling to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So
you're about to drop the project. I don't know. Is there a release date set?
Not right now. There's no release date right now, but definitely looking at like sometime in September, maybe, hopefully.
All right, so let's just say you drop the project in September. What's coming next? Like, what's the next six months look like? And then maybe you could say what's coming in the next 6 years. Like, what's some wild goals that we can manifest for you right now after these next 6 months?
Definitely some more visuals. Definitely some cool merchandise. I have these hats that I designed.
Oh, nice.
And I have these Viewmasters that I'm working on. And then after that, I say more videos, maybe some like Lucy's, like maybe, and some like features on some of my friends, projects. And then further down the line, I mean, it's definitely gonna be, I'm definitely gonna drop more albums, and the next one gotta be way bigger than this one. You know what I'm saying? What that looks like, I don't really know yet, to be honest. I'm already working on it, to be honest. I already have a lot of ideas that I've been playing with, but I feel like there's just so many directions I can head, and I'm just kind of, creating freely right now. Honestly, I really want to. I'll just put the word out. I'll just put this out there. Like, I really want to get in rooms with the people that have inspired me, and like see how I feel in the same room as them, and or how we sound on records together.
Yeah, what's one of those personalities that you would love to get with?
I mean, I'm like so inspired by Kanye.
Yeah, same.
So
I could already hear that between you and me. Yeah. I could already hear that. And he's really on such a creative tip right now, and what he's doing with his rollout of Donda is so inspiring. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
So at our website, a lot of the people that tune in are young artists, young producers. We've been around for a while, but we continuously have a young, upcoming audience. If there's any advice that you could give to them that are tuning into this interview, like, what would you say?
I would say my first advice would be like, don't wait until you think you know what you're doing, because no one knows what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, neither does Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye don't know what he's doing, so don't wait on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what feels right. Don't wait for that moment where someone tells you like, yeah, you're doing it the right way, because you're never gonna feel that. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's probably the biggest advice. Because anything else, if I gave any other advice, I feel like I'll be misleading people, because I'm still figuring it out. I like authentic music, so I'll say be authentic. But some people make it work without being quote unquote authentic. So take that shit with grain of salt.
Yeah, authenticity is definitely worth its weight in gold. Yeah. And I'm already becoming a big fan of your work and your music, and I passed it around to some other people at our website. Everybody was like, "Yo, this is hot right here." So yeah, I really appreciate you taking this time to do this interview so we could get a more insight on your career and your music and your mentality. But before we wrap up, this is hip hop. It is hip hop. So I don't know if you got any shout outs or last words or anything like that.
Oh, damn. I guess I could shout out the features on my project. Shout out to Native Son. Shout out to Q. Shout out to Sophie, the homie. Shout out to my dog Tempest. She did some background vocals for me. Shout out to Love Monsui. Who am I missing? Shout out to Saint Leor. I'm a huge fan of him. Yeah. Shout out those people. Shout out my manager Brandon. And that's all I can think of off the top of my head, man.
I really hope this project does amazing things for your career. I see a very bright future for your music and
Thank you.
for your production as well as your own music. So definitely big respect to you. Hopefully we could double back, man, sometime next year and kind of recap
Sure.
all this
Yeah.
stuff that's about to happen. But in the meantime, man, good luck with everything. And big salute to you. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Stay blessed.
Likewise. Peace.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.